Walk into any kitchen shop today and you'll find a wall of plastic promising to keep your food fresh. Vacuum sealers, herb keepers, egg cabinets, all costing a small fortune. But your nan kept a family fed for a week with a jam jar, a bit of greaseproof, and a damp tea towel. Number 14 on this list was standard in every 1950s larder, yet it beats a 40-pound gadget. And number 2, scientists have only just worked out why it works. Let's count them down. Before we start, hit that subscribe button, because half the products in your kitchen cupboard are about to look very silly indeed. Here are the 25 fridge tricks your nan knew that make fancy food containers useless. Number 25. Cheese wrapped in greaseproof, never cling film. Your nan would never dream of suffocating a good bit of cheddar in plastic. She wrapped it in greaseproof or waxed paper, then loosely in foil, and it kept for weeks. The reason is simple. Cheese is alive. It needs to breathe. Cling film traps the moisture the cheese gives off, and that moisture is exactly what mold feeds on. Greaseproof lets the cheese exhale while still holding in enough damp to stop the edges going hard and waxy. A roll cost a few pence and lasted months. Those 40-pound cheese vaults they sell now, with their little humidity domes, are doing precisely what a sheet of paper did for free. Your nan's cheddar never sweated, never crumbled, and never grew that furry blue coat overnight in a sealed box. Number 24. Herbs stored like a bunch of flowers. When your nan brought parsley or mint home, she didn't shove it in a plastic bag to turn to slime by Tuesday. She trimmed the stems, popped the bunch in an old jam jar with an inch of water, and stood it in the fridge like a little bouquet. The herbs drank through the cut stems, staying perky and green for a fortnight. Basil got the same treatment but stayed on the windowsill because the cold turns it black. It's the exact principle a florist uses on roses. Now they sell you sealed herb keepers with weighted lids and drainage trays for 25 quid. And all they're really doing is holding a jar of water. Your nan worked that out with a Robertson's marmalade jar and never gave it another thought. Number 23. The saucer over the bowl. Long before anyone owned a matching set of lidded containers, your nan had a system, and that system was a saucer. Leftover custard, a bowl of dripping, half a tin of beans, the odd bit of trifle, all got a saucer or a side plate laid flat on top. It kept the flies off, stopped a skin forming, and let you stack things flat in a crowded fridge. No hunting for the right lid, no lids that had lost their bowls. Every plate in the house was a lid, and every bowl had a partner. Those clip-lock boxes we buy in packs of 12, half of which end up warped and orphaned in a drawer, would have baffled her completely. A cup and saucer did the job and got washed up with everything else. Number 22. Lettuce wrapped in a damp tea towel. A limp lettuce was a small tragedy in a house where a whole head cost sixpence and nothing got wasted. Your nan's trick was to wrap the leaves in a slightly damp tea towel before they went in the salad drawer. The cloth held just enough moisture to keep the leaves turgid and crisp without drowning them, and it absorbed the excess that makes lettuce go slimy in a bag. A wilted lettuce could even be revived this way overnight, coming back crisp as if fresh cut. Those crisper drawers with the sliding humidity dials on modern American fridges are chasing the exact balance a tea towel strikes by accident. Your nan's salad stayed crunch right to the last leaf, and the towel went back in the drawer for tomorrow. Number 21. Milk on the middle shelf, never the door. Everyone stores milk in the door now because that's where the molded plastic bottle-shaped slots are. Your nan knew better. The door is the warmest part of the fridge, swinging open and shut, dozens of degrees warmer than the back shelf. She kept milk on the middle or bottom shelf where the temperature held steady and cold. Her milk lasted 2, sometimes 3 days longer than it had any right to. It sounds like nothing, but on a doorstep-delivered pint that had to last, those extra days meant no dashing to the shop and no sour tea. The fridge makers built the door slot to sell you convenience and quietly cost you freshness. Your nan put the butter in the door and the milk where it belonged. Number 20. Eggs stored point down. Here's the first thing that makes people stop and think. Your nan stored her eggs pointy end down, fat end up, and not out of fussiness. The egg has an air pocket at the round end. Stand it point down and the yolk stays cradled in the center. away from that air pocket, which keeps it fresher and stops bacteria migrating in. She often kept them out of the fridge altogether, in a bowl on the cool larder shelf, because a fresh egg with its natural coating intact doesn't need chilling. Those plastic egg cabinets with the little numbered wells laid flat on their sides. They're storing eggs the worst possible way. A cardboard box stood upright beats them every time, and your nan knew it before anyone printed a diagram on the packaging. Number 19. Root veg kept in the dark, out of the fridge. Your nan didn't cram carrots, spuds and onions into the salad drawer. Potatoes lived in a Hessian sack or a bit of newspaper in the cool dark of the larder, because light turns them green and cold turns their starch to sugar. Onions hung in an old pair of tights, knotted between each one, in a dry corner. Carrots she'd sometimes stand in a box of damp sand, where they'd keep for months. Crucially, she never stored onions next to potatoes, because onions give off a gas that makes spuds sprout. Now there are ventilated vegetable bins and stackable produce towers for 60 quid. A newspaper, an old sack, and a bit of common sense did the same job and never needed dusting. Number 18. Mushrooms in a paper bag, never plastic. Mushrooms come from the supermarket sealed in a plastic punnet with cling film stretched over the top, and that's exactly how they turn to a slimy, blackened mush. Your nan tipped them straight into a brown paper bag and folded the top over. Mushrooms are mostly water, and they keep breathing after picking. Trapped in plastic, that moisture has nowhere to go and it rots them. The paper bag lets them breathe and wicks the damp away, keeping them firm and dry for a week or more. It's the reason the greengrocer always used paper. No special mushroom keeper required, just the bag your other veg came home in, used twice like everything else in that kitchen. Number 17. Butter left out in the dish. First pattern break. Here's where the fridge fanatics get it wrong. Your nan didn't keep her butter rock hard in the fridge, snapping her toast in half every morning trying to spread it. She kept it in a covered butter dish on the side, soft and spreadable, and it was perfectly safe. Salted butter is naturally resistant to spoiling. The salt draws water out and holds bacteria at bay, and butter's high fat content keeps air away from what little water remains. A French butter crock, a wet sealed pot they now sell for £30, is just a fancy version of the china dish on your nan's table. She spread it thick and even, straight onto warm bread, and never once poisoned the family. Cold butter that tears the bread is a modern invention nobody asked for. Number 16. The sugar cube in the cheese. When your nan wrapped her cheese, she'd sometimes tuck a single sugar cube in beside it. The sugar is hygroscopic, meaning it draws moisture towards itself, so it quietly soaks up the excess damp inside the wrapping that would otherwise let mold take hold. The same trick worked with a heel of stale bread in the biscuit tin, drawing damp away to keep the biscuits snapping crisp. It cost a farthing and worked on chemistry alone. Those little reusable moisture-absorbing discs sold for the fridge, all silica gel and clever marketing, are doing precisely what a sugar cube did in 1955. Your nan's cheese lasted the week, and her digestives never went soft, all thanks to something already sitting in the sugar bowl. Number 15. Spring onions and celery revived in water. Celery gone bendy. Spring onions flopping. Your nan didn't bin them. She stood them upright in a jug of cold water in the fridge, and within a couple of hours they'd drunk themselves rigid again. Celery especially could be brought back from the brink, snapping crisp after a night in water. She'd also wrap celery in foil rather than plastic, because foil lets the ethylene gas that ripens and ages produce escape, where plastic traps it and speeds the rot. These are the two cheapest tricks on the list, and they save whole vegetables from the bin every week. The produce pods they sell now, with their little water reservoirs and sprouting lids, are a jug of water with a price tag bolted on. Number 14. The bowl of bicarb. This one was in every single fridge in the country, and it beats a £40 gadget flat. Your nan kept an open dish of bicarbonate of soda tucked at the back of the fridge and changed it every month or so. Bicarb doesn't mask smells like those plug-in fresheners, it neutralizes them chemically, reacting with the acidic and alkaline odor molecules from fish, onions, and old cheese and cancelling them out. Open the door and the fridge smelled of nothing at all, which is exactly how a fridge should smell. Now they sell you carbon filters and battery-powered ozone gadgets and scented gel pots, all promising fresh air. A saucer of bicarb from the baking cupboard, costing pennies, does the job better and doesn't leave your butter smelling of fake lavender. And when the month was up, that same bicarb wasn't wasted either. It went down the sink to freshen the drains or into a bowl of water to scrub the enamel. Nothing left that kitchen without doing 3 jobs first. Number 13. Bacon rolled in greaseproof. Before resealable packs, your nan bought bacon loose from the butcher and stored it rolled in greaseproof paper. She'd lay the rashers out, roll them up in the paper like a Swiss roll, and they'd peel apart one at a time without tearing or sticking. The greaseproof stopped them drying out at the edges while still letting the cure breathe, and the fat kept beautifully. A whole side could be portioned this way, and it never developed that slippery, sour film that vacuum-packed bacon gets when the pack's been opened a day. Those specialist bacon keepers with the sliding trays are a solution to a problem greaseproof paper solved a century ago. Your nan's bacon came apart clean into the pan every morning, no fuss. Number 12. Tomatoes off the windowsill, never the fridge. Second pattern break. Here's a bit of controversy, because half of you are keeping your tomatoes wrong right now. Your nan never put a tomato in the fridge, and she was right. Cold below about 12 degrees destroys the enzymes that give a tomato its flavor and its aroma, turning it woolly, mealy, and bland. It also stops it ripening. She kept them stem side down on the windowsill or in a bowl on the side, where they carried on sweetening and stayed juicy. This is the one modern chefs have finally caught up on, printing "Do not refrigerate" on the punnets. Your nan needed no label. She grew up knowing that the fridge is where tomato flavor goes to die, and a windowsill is where it's born. No gadget can undo the damage a cold shelf does. Number 11. Cake kept moist with a slice of bread. When your nan made a Victoria sponge or a fruit cake, she stored it in a tin with a slice of plain bread laid on the cut face. The cake would draw moisture from the bread rather than giving up its own, so it stayed soft and fresh for days, while the bread slowly went stale in its place, a willing sacrifice. Brown sugar gone hard as a brick got the same treatment, a slice of bread in the bag softening it back overnight. It's moisture management, pure and simple, the same thing those expensive cake domes with silicone seals claim to do. A biscuit tin and a crust of bread did it for nothing, and your nan's sponge was still moist enough to serve when the vicar dropped by on Thursday. Number 10. The jam jar for absolutely everything. Your nan's fridge was a museum of jam jars, and everyone earned its place. Leftover gravy, homemade stock, jam of course, chutney, salad dressing, dripping, pickled onions, all lived in scrubbed-out jars with their lids screwed back on. Glass doesn't stain, doesn't hold smells, doesn't warp, and you can see exactly what's inside at a glance. It goes from fridge to freezer to table without complaint, and a screw lid seals tighter than most plastic clips. The whole matching container industry, those pastel sets that never quite stack and always lose a lid, exists to replace something your nan had a shelf full of for free. Every jar of Hartley's or Robertson's was a lifetime storage vessel the moment it was empty, soaked in hot water until the label slid off, ready for its second life. Nothing was ever bought to store food. It simply arrived, was emptied, and quietly took up its next duty on the shelf. Number 9. Berries washed in vinegar water. Strawberries and raspberries that furred over with mold 2 days after you bought them met their match in your nan's kitchen. She gave them a quick dunk in a bowl of water with a splash of white vinegar, then dried them gently and stored them. The mild acid killed off the mold spores sitting invisibly on the skins, the very spores that spread from one bad berry to the whole punnet overnight. Dried properly and stored in a bowl lined with kitchen paper, the berries lasted twice as long. Those ventilated berry keepers with their raised bases and colanders are trying to keep berries dry, which helps, but they do nothing about the spores. A tablespoon of vinegar tackled the actual cause, and it cost less than a penny a punnet. Number 8. Half an avocado kept with the stone. Now, avocados weren't exactly common in your nan's day, but the principle she lived by applies perfectly, and her daughters used it the moment they arrived. Leave the stone in the half you're saving, rub the cut surface with a little lemon juice, and press cling film or greaseproof right onto the flesh so no air can reach it. Browning is just oxidation, the flesh reacting with air, and the acid slows it while the barrier blocks it. The stone protects the flesh directly beneath it. They now sell little hinged avocado huggers, molded plastic shells for a single fruit, when a squeeze of lemon and a scrap of paper does it better. It's the same thinking your nan used on a cut apple or a halved lemon, and it never needed its own dedicated gadget cluttering the drawer. Number 7. Lemon halves face down on a saucer. A cut lemon in the fridge dries to a hard, useless nub within a day if you leave it exposed. Your nan laid the cut half face down on a small saucer, sealing the juicy surface against the plate so no air could get at it. It stayed fresh and full of juice for the best part of a week, ready for the next fish supper or gin and tonic. The same went for a cut onion, face down, keeping its layers from drying and its smell from taking over the whole fridge. It's such a small thing, a lemon on a saucer, but it's the sort of quiet cleverness that ran the whole kitchen. Those single-fruit silicone savors they flog in packs are, once again, a saucer with delusions of grandeur. Number 6. Stock and wine frozen in ice cube trays. Third pattern break. Here's where your nan was, frankly, decades ahead of every celebrity chef. She'd never pour good stock or the last of the cooking wine down the sink. She froze it in the ice cube tray, popped the cubes into a bag, and had perfect single portions ready to drop straight into a gravy or a risotto whenever she needed depth of flavor. A tablespoon of concentrated goodness, no defrosting a whole tub, no waste. Fresh herbs got the same treatment, chopped into the tray and topped with a little water or melted butter, frozen into ready-made flavor bombs. They sell fancy silicone freezing molds now with lids and labels, marketed as a revolutionary kitchen hack. Your nan was doing it with the same aluminium ice tray that made cubes for Grandad's whiskey, and thinking nothing of it. Number 5. Cucumber wrapped, kept out of the cold snap. A cucumber goes soft and slimy faster than almost anything, and the salad drawer is often its downfall. Your nan wrapped hers loosely in a tea towel or a bit of paper and kept it away from the coldest part of the fridge, because cucumbers, like tomatoes, suffer chill damage below about 10 degrees. The wrapping soaked up the surface moisture that turns the skin slippery, while shielding it from the cold spots that turn it to mush. She also kept it well away from tomatoes and apples, because the ethylene those give off yellows a cucumber in days. A cucumber stored her way stayed firm and crisp for over a week. No humidity-controlled drawer needed, just an understanding of what the vegetable actually wanted. Number 4. Bread in the bin, never the fridge. This is the mistake half the country makes daily. Your nan kept her bread in an enamel or wooden bread bin on the side, and never, ever in the fridge. Counterintuitive as it sounds, the fridge is the fastest way to stale a loaf. The cold accelerates a process called starch retrogradation, where the crumb goes hard and dry far quicker than it would at room temperature. The bread bin held a stable, slightly humid environment that kept the crust crisp and the crumb soft for days. If a loaf did start to firm up, the damp tea towel in a warm oven brought it back. Those expensive bread boxes with charcoal filters and humidity vents are chasing what a simple tin achieved. Your nan's bread bin ran on nothing but good sense. Number 3. Bananas hung, stems wrapped. Your nan hung her bananas from a hook or the handle of a cupboard, never lying them flat in the fruit bowl where they bruise against the surface and ripen unevenly. Hanging lets air circulate all around them and takes the pressure off the fruit. Better still, she'd wrap a bit of foil or cling film tightly around the crown of stems where they join, because that's where the ethylene gas is released, the gas that ripens the fruit. Trap it at the stem, and the whole bunch ripens far more slowly, buying you several extra days of yellow before the brown spots arrive. She'd also keep them well away from the apples and the tomatoes for the very same reason. Those banana hangers and stands sold in kitchen shops are just a hook your nan already had. Number 2. Carrots kept crisp in a tub of water. Here's the one scientists have only just properly explained. Peeled or whole carrots left in the fridge go limp and develop that unpleasant white blush as they dry out and lose moisture to the air. Your nan stored them submerged in a container of cold water, and they stayed snapping crisp and vivid orange for 2 or 3 weeks. The carrots simply reabsorbed water through their surface, staying fully hydrated, while the water barrier stopped them drying and oxidizing. Change the water every few days, and they'd outlast anything. Modern food scientists now recommend exactly this, dressed up as a discovery, and there are sealed produce crispers sold to mimic it. Your nan did it in an old ice cream tub. Same water, same carrots, same result, decades before anyone filmed it for the internet. Number 1. Nothing was ever bought to store food, and that was the whole secret. Fourth and final pattern break. Because here is the truth that ties every single one of these together. Your nan's kitchen never contained a single item bought specifically to keep food fresh, not one. The jam jars arrived full of jam. The greaseproof lined the cake tins. The saucers came with the cups. The tea towels dried the dishes. The ice cube tray made ice. Every storage solution in that house was already there, doing a second job, and doing it better than the plastic we pay a fortune for now. That was the genius. She didn't manage her fridge with gadgets. She managed it with knowledge, understanding that food is alive, that it breathes, ripens, dries and rots for reasons you can work with. The whole storage aisle, every container set and produce pod and vacuum sealer, exists to sell back to us the common sense our nans had for free. They knew that a happy fridge isn't full of clever plastic. It's run by someone who understands what the food inside it actually needs. So here's my challenge. Try just one this week. Take your tomatoes out of the fridge. Stand your carrots in water. Wrap your cheese in greaseproof and bin the cling film. Then come back and tell me if your nan was right. Because I've thrown out half my Tupperware and I'm not going back. My cheese lasts twice as long. My carrots snap like they're fresh from the ground, and my herbs are standing in a jam jar like a little bouquet on the shelf. Tell me in the comments which trick your nan swore by, and which one you're going to try first. Your nan knew. Now you know too.